Hi, and welcome to our first session of the Haftarah Rosh for Rosh Hashanah. As I was announcing before in my introduction to this series, the first text that we will read on the first day of Rosh Hashanah is from the book of Samuel, and it's going to be chapter 1 and chapter 2. To give you a little overview of the context, basically what we have is three characters. Elkanah, which is the family dad. Then we have Peninah, who is the second wife who has children. And then we have the first wife, Hannah, who is barren, who has no children. In the context of the story, every year the family goes to the temple to offer sacrifices. And in one of those visits to the temple, Elkanah runs into the classical problem that he offers double portion to Peninah because he's the one with children, and then he offers the regular portion to Hannah because she has no children. This time the situation bothers Hannah, and Hannah decides to go to the temple, and she prays. This is in verse 9, chapter 1, verse 9, and she prays. What's very interesting in that prayer is that she mumbles. She is not offering any sacrifice. It's a silent prayer. What was very awkward at the time, to the point that Eli, who happens to be the priest, the main priest at the temple, approaches her and rebukes her because he really thought that Hannah was drunk when she was praying. And that was an unokay situation. So Eli rebukes her, and she defends herself, saying, "No, I was praying, I was not drunk." As kind of a making peace and kind of an apology, Eli offers her a blessing. After that, she gets pregnant, and she conceives Samuel, who is going to be the hero of the first book and the second book of Samuel. Then, after taking care of Samuel during the first couple of years of his life, finally she brings Samuel to the temple and offers Samuel and consecrates Samuel to the service of God at the temple. This corresponds to verses 19 to 28 in the first chapter of the book of Samuel. And finally, our Haftarah concludes with the first 10 verses in chapter number 2, which is a thanksgiving that Hannah offers for being able to conceive finally and for dedicating Samuel to God's service. So basically here we have the outcome, we have the outline of the Haftarah for the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Clearly we can see the parallels between the reading of the Torah, which is about Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Remember that in the Torah we have Abraham welcoming the angels, and the angels promising Sarah that she will conceive a child. So we can see in both readings, we can see a similar situation. The barren matriarch, the barren beloved spouse, who is promised a child, and finally conceives a child. And in both cases, what we see is that there is another spouse who already conceived a child before the matriarch or before Hannah. But before that, I want you to pay attention to one small detail. At the time when the book was written, or even at the time of the Romans, prayer was directly related to the offering of a sacrifice. An animal would be sacrificed on the altar, and together with the action of the sacrifice, there would be some ritualistic formula to be offered. Here, however, Hannah is inventing what's going to be a new model of prayer. This is the offering of the words. The words are enough. There is no sacrifice that accompanies that prayer. And the rabbis will take in the future, will take this model. Our prayers Jewish prayers, are not related to any sacrificial offering. We don't offer any animal, we don't offer anything on the altar. We offer just the words from our mouth as the sacrifice that we give to God and our prayer. The second element, as I was mentioning, is these relationships between the first couple and the second couple. We have Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Remember, Abraham is the patriarch, Sarah is the matriarch, the one beloved who is barren. And because she's unable to carry children, Hagar is the one who will be the second wife who will have the child. As I was mentioning before, in the first day of Rosh Hashanah, the reading from the Torah relates the promise that God made to Abraham that Sarah will conceive, regardless of her age. A similar situation happens with the second couple, the couple for the Haftarah, Elkanah, Hannah, and Peninah. Hannah is the beloved one, but she has no children, and Peninah is the loved one. It's the one who carries the children. In this relationship, there is a huge rivalry between both the spouses, between Sarah and Hagar, as we will see on the readings for the Torah for the second day of Rosh Hashanah, and between Hannah and Peninah. So when the rabbis chose to have this text, one together with the other, from Genesis and the other one from the book of Samuel, the rabbis were inviting us to think about the quality of our relationships. We are at the end of the year and we are at the beginning of the new year. How many times have we been like Sarah or Hannah, and we have been involved in this type of rivalry with friends, with family members, inside our couples? So that's another thought that we have for these days. As I was mentioning before, the prayer is a silent prayer. Silent prayer. When I was thinking about this, preparing my notes for this video, I remember the passage from the Talmud, from Masechet Berachot, from the Tractate Berachot 32, that says that the gates of prayer, when the gates of prayer are closed, the gates of tears are always open. Even if we are unable to follow service, even if we are unable to be there all the time, even if we are tired during services, we always have the gates of tears open. If we repent, if we think, if we repent, that gate is always open and God will hear our prayers. And finally, there is another point of connection between the reading from the Torah and the reading from the Haftarah. The reading from the Torah begins with the words, "And God remembered Sarah." And the reading from the Haftarah tells us that when the family came back to their place, it reads on verse 19 that Elkanah had relations with Hannah, his wife, and Adonai remembered her, which is the point of connection. God remembers. And this remembering, it's called Zikaron, which is also one of the names for the holidays. Rosh Hashanah is called also, one of the names of Rosh Hashanah is Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance. Also, from our previous series of videos, when I talk about the structure of the service, I explained to you that Musaf has 3 sections. The first one being Malchuyot, the second one being Zichronot, and the third one being Shofarot. In the middle section, Zichronot, it talks about how God remembers. And here comes a little detail, a little trivia question. Did you know that in the Bible, God remembers more times than humans remember? So there is maybe this is the message, that there is an ability to overcome the limitations. Remembering is essential because somehow it's divine. And there is a Hasidic story that tells us that when humans remember, God forgets, and when humans forget, God remembers. Why? Because when a person sins and does not repent, that person forgets about the sin, but God remembers. When the person fulfills a mitzvah, the person forgets, but God remembers the mitzvah that that person performed. On the other hand, when a person sins and remembers and repents, then God forgets that sin. But if a person performs a mitzvah and that person keeps repeating and repeating and repeating that person, that he or she had performed our mitzvah, God will forget about that mitzvah. So there is a very interesting thing about how God remembers, because when human remembers, God forgets, but when God forgets, human remembers. So here you have my 5 minutes of thought for this first day of Rosh Hashanah. I hope that you have enjoyed that. If so, please continue watching my other introductions for the different Haftarot for the days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And please be in contact with me. Again, I'm Rabbi Jendra from Congregation B'nai Tikva, Beth Israel, here in New Jersey, in Sewell, New Jersey. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.